Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mind Harbor episode 11. My name is James. I'm your host, followed by my two wonderful co hosts.
Vinci, or Martin, and Sean.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our last Thanksgiving. Welcome. But I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. How was yours, Martin?
It was good. I did a lot of. It was more moving than actual family and Thanksgiving. So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
still moving up to Toronto here. So we have like storage locker stuff we got to move. We had stuff that I had to bring from her place to my place now. So I'm happy. I'm gonna get a new fireplace in about a week. Kind of electric fireplace to settle in for the winter. But other than
Nice.
that, it's a bit of a tiring Thanksgiving for me. Very busy between Waterloo, Toronto, and camping a little bit in 6 Mile Lake.
Nice. Oh, nice. We were near 6 Mile Lake, eh, Sean?
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
Cool. We could have dropped in. That would have been fun.
Yeah, you should have. That would have been fun.
Yeah,
you were only
some kind of
sorry,
couple hours away. Yeah, I didn't connect the dots, but we were up at like White Falls or something. Is that what it's called? Weird ass name. And then we had what else was there? Some kind of generator, a really cool generator place with an old, what's it called, boat escalator? There's a name for it. We went up and saw that. It was amazing. Got a couple of photos of that. It's like one of the few boat elevators that aren't traditional lock dams in Canada, because they just gave up on that. They ran out of money at the end of World War One, so they had to resort to old pulleys and chains, and we got the whole tour.
Wow, that's cool.
And that was
nice.
That's a highlight of my Thanksgiving. How are you guys?
Just up at the cottage on Lake Joe. Maya and I had got there a day after James and his dad, so they were already settled in for a day, did some stuff. Saturday morning, we went golfing, Diamond in the Rough. Lots of fun.
The new Bombarosso inaugural open. We started that up, so now every Thanksgiving we play at Diamond in the Rough.
Yeah.
Super fun.
And why is it not showing? My finger is like healed.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
It's like all scar now. All right
Amazing.
here. But when we're sorry?
Anything permanent lost?
Sort of just have to wait and see as it keeps healing. Like it's not 100% healed, but it's healed enough that I can work again.
Mm.
So when we were golfing, and it was still wrapped, so trying to keep the ball controlled was a bit harder. But
oh shoot.
Yeah.
Lots of bucket golf too. I think we played, I don't know, 10 rounds of bucket golf.
Big fire.
Big fire.
I saw a UAP.
Oh.
Yeah.
Floor's yours.
Whereabouts?
So, the night before, James and Pat, like our other cousin family member, they both were like, "Yo, we need to see like a UFO or something." Turns out we didn't see it that night, but then I went back to the boathouse to stock up on some beer for everybody. Went to the bathroom, whatever. So I get back to the tennis court area, and they're playing bocce ball. But since it's a four-player game, me coming back as a fifth person, I couldn't play. So I just dropped off the drinks and just starfished on the trampoline. And it was clear sky, not a single cloud in the sky. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking up, and I see what I at first think is a seagull. And it was going really fast, and I was like, okay, a bird does not go that fast. And then it wasn't a plane because didn't see any lights, didn't see any like wings or like the tail. It wasn't a
Or
plane.
exhaust.
Yeah, or exhaust. There was no anything. It was just a white
Wow.
or it was just a white orb in the clear sky. It went like zip, and then it stopped, and then it did like bing, 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 and then just flew off. I tried to get James's attention. As soon as I look away from it, I
Uh,
can't find it anymore, and like
Gone.
I'm just like, damn.
no.
So like
Damn.
I don't know what it was. I can't explain it. That's why I'm saying I saw UAP.
Because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
unidentified.
Was,
Yeah.
was
So
this
like
at night or in the day?
it was like 3 o'clock.
Broad daylight.
And
Broad
like I
daylight. Wow.
at that time I only had like 2 beers in one toke. So like I wasn't like off my ass. And
Right.
like I wasn't on any hallucinogens. Like I don't do
Yeah.
that stuff. So like I just can't explain it.
That's crazy. It was just like what's the show? The girl in the house across the street where she finds like a dead body, goes to show the flight attendant, and like a minute later the body's just gone, and she's like, I had a vodka, but I'm not like hallucinating. Where's the body?
I was the
And
flight attendant.
you're the flight
Yeah,
attendant
yeah.
in search of.
It
That's
was
crazy.
funny because he didn't even tell me in the moment, and of course I'm locked in on bocce ball, right? And I'm like already probably 4 or 5 deep at that point. So I'm like in the zone. Everything around me is just gone. But I look to my left and I see Sean just starfished on the trampoline. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
he's vibing, he's having a good time. And then later, like before dinner, we were outside smoking a joint with Pat, and Sean and Maya come out, and Sean immediately goes, "Yo, I saw a UAP." We were like, "Is this your first time?" He's like, "Yeah, I saw my first one," and then proceeded to tell us the story. But yeah, dude, like every time we go up there, my only wish is to let someone see something that I've seen or something similar to it. I've never seen a Tic Tac, but I'm glad that Sean saw something similar or something anomalous because every time I go up there, I see something anomalous. And
Yeah, cuz sorry.
and I'm not crazy, you know. Like I know what I've seen. I know what a satellite is. I know what a jetliner is. I know what all these things generally are. I know Starlink. The unexplained phenomena up there is like way more active than anywhere else I've ever been. But
Yeah.
you gotta want it. You gotta want to see something. And that's difficult because when you're in a
What's
group
up?
of like 5 or 6 and even 1 or 2 people are a little skeptical about it, they won't show themselves. Whatever they are, they won't show themselves to those people. You got to have an
Like
open mind.
exactly. Like I'm very open-minded. Like of course
Hmm.
I haven't seen anything before that, so I was skeptical of it. But like
Always pleasure
change my
first.
mind. Show me.
Well,
Like I'm open to see other shit, and like it's just crazy that it was broad daylight because there's very very minimal to pretty well zero light pollution up on that lake.
hmm
Hmm.
So at night you can see chunks of like the Milky Way and all that. And a couple times ago I had seen Starlink. So like James said, like it's easy to tell if it's a satellite or not. Because like the first stage of what I saw, it was going, pardon me, it was going the same trajectory. But satellites don't just stop on a dime, go up,
Hmm.
down, left, right, and then just fuck off.
right.
So like
If
I wish
you,
I had like dude, I wish I had those meta glasses because I would have just been staring up, and then I would have been tracking it with the meta glasses.
Yeah. Did you try
But
and
like
take your phone out and record?
no, because my thought process was I need to figure out what this is before I look away from it.
hmm
And before I look at my phone and like get fully distracted, I want to get James's attention to like have him see it.
hmm
But by the time I sit up and I say James, it's gone. And he was like, as he
Wow.
said, locked in on bocce ball. I just laid back down as if nothing happened, and I was processing it for a moment. That's why I didn't say anything in the moment. I was like, did I see that, like, or is am I seeing what I wanted to see? But then I remembered, like, I'm not drunk, I'm not high, I'm just buzzing, like I'm just buzzing off a couple beers, like I'm not like
Yeah, you're not.
out of my
Yeah,
mind.
you're fine.
And like when I saw James outside with Pat and his girlfriend, I that's why I like was like, okay, I'm so sure that this was that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then
Yeah,
when I
what
talked
a
it over,
first
Pat also had
experience.
said, you know, like he's seen stuff too, but at night. He's never seen anything in broad daylight.
Wow.
Me neither.
Because we would have seen so much more at night, but since we're in fall now, the sun and the moon aren't in the same part of the sky as the summer. The moon was a lot lower and closer, so the light reflecting off the moon was so much brighter.
Mm-hmm.
We just
But
missed the aurora borealis too, Sean.
I know it was literally like yesterday.
I know. Well, I was gonna say, just even if you did take a picture or video of it, a lot of anomalous phenomena incidents with multiple different people, they all see different things. And if you've ever seen Skywatchers, it's a YouTube documentary series type thing. They have basically been like calling these things in. They have something they call a dog whistle, where they dog whistle these things in and video them. So they've gotten some really crazy footage. They've actually classified, I want to say, 12 to 14 different UAP, um, whatever they are, craft or whatever. But every time they film it, it's extremely difficult to film, even with their extremely high powered cameras, right? And these aren't just
Mm-hmm.
like, 15 millimeter telephoto lens. No, these cameras are like almost telescopes. Like they need a van to be able to work. So, anyway, I suggest everyone to go over to Skywatcher and check it out because it's such an interesting. They've got so many different videos. But with a normal camera like your phone, you would never be able to get anything close to anything semblance of what you saw. You might be able to see a tiny dot, but it's not going to come out clear or anything like that.
So I'm sending a picture to the Discord.
Okay.
It's an image of what a Tic Tac quote unquote looks like. That's like exactly what I saw, just way further away.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's a Tic Tac.
then
There it is.
it says that they're roughly 40 to 46 feet in length, and from that far away, like that looks about right.
So fascinating.
Like yeah, if you look up Tic Tac UAP and go to images, there's like infrared footage, there's black and white, there's a lot of different images about that, but I just thought that was really cool.
Well,
Yeah.
General David Fravor, he was a pilot of an F-16 unit. He's known to be one of the best pilots of F-16s in the U.S. Air Force. Um, he was scrambled off the coast of Yemen on the USS Nimitz with his co-partner, and they chased one of these things, and it's all documented. He actually testified in Congress under oath to tell these stories. And yeah, if you really want to go deep on that stuff, like specifically like all the military interactions, General David Fravor is a great story to start with because basically it's highly documented and it's I mean these sensors that they have on F-16s are extremely sensitive, right? They're able to pick things up miles away if it's open air and clear skies, right? So when they are scrambling, off of a battleship to these things all the time. By the way, was in 2017, I want to say, or 16. Um, and documented as well, and then also put into Congress for testifying. It's there's more and more of these stories that are coming out and being released by the military and their counterparts, and it's just getting crazier and crazier. But yeah, it's a good place to start if you really want to delve deep.
Mhm.
Will
Yeah,
do. And what was the Skywatcher's site? Like I've seen Skywatcher.ai, but are there photos of the Skywatchers that you were talking about?
Yeah, look up Skywatcher UAPs under Google Images. I'm sure you'd be able to find the classifications of all 12 of them. Um, yeah, if you find it,
Oh yeah.
link it in chat and I
so
can
That one.
show the
there's
people.
Tetra, Tic Tac, Blob, Beam. Oh, the Tetra's like the Tet in the movie Oblivion. If you guys have seen that,
Mm,
that's a good one. I was just watching some clips last night. I want to rewatch it, but they've got Tic Tacs in there. They've got Tets. We've got just it's a great sci-fi dystopian movie
nice.
as well.
yeah.
It,
I'll send that to the chat, James, if you wanna
Is it all
show
12?
everybody. There's only 9
9,
on
okay,
this.
okay. So I just, yeah. So there's also a bunch of other crazy leaked videos that were released by George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. Um, and there's one specifically that I found super interesting. It was uh, the jellyfish over an Iraq base, I believe, back in 2020 or 21. There's IR footage of it, but yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. It's one of the best UAP footage I've ever seen. So here we're looking at the 9 different classifications of the UAPs that they have classified. Sean saw class 2. Um, I've seen, I don't know, I might have seen an egg or a blob. I can't remember. There's a bunch of sightings that I've also had, but super fascinating stuff. It's really
Mhm.
weird. The fact that the government is actually releasing this kind of stuff is mind-boggling to me. Because I've been following
It's
this for almost 5 years now, and the shit that's come out in 5 years has just been borderline schizophrenic.
mm-hmm.
It reminds me of the movie Don't Look Up,
Mm.
Oh
and
yeah.
it's that Leonardo
Have you seen
DiCaprio
that, James?
movie that pretty much there's a meteor that's going to destroy Earth, like extinction level threat,
Atlas
and
31A.
the governments are saying don't look up, like it's fake, just don't look up. But like
Yeah.
in this scenario, if people want to see this sort of thing, all they have to do is look up, especially on a clear day. Like, yeah, just that's really
There,
it.
there is
You just have
clear.
to look up, and if something happens, it happens.
You got to want it and have an open mind. But there are clear protocols that the military actually has for psionic assets in order to bring these in. It's called the CE5 protocol. There are ways to actually kind of dog whistle this in. It's a little woo woo. It's kind of like using your mind to astral project yourself above the earth and then kind of say, hey, I'm here. Do you want to, interact? And then they show up. That's supposedly the protocol. I don't actually know the full aspect of it. But again, with the idea of just look up, I've always been open-minded but skeptical about the fringe of science. When I heard about remote viewing, I was like, this can't be real. I kept looking into classified documents, learned about Stargate, the Monroe Institute, all of these different guys like Joe McGonigal and these remote viewers that were working for the CIA and Defense Department back, 30 years ago till now. MK Ultra, all of these really interesting projects that the states have been doing over the past 60 years. So I was like, you know what? If this shit's real, why don't I try it? So I did. And like I could say maybe like 25% of it worked, but I know it worked and I did it. So this is what I'm saying. Just look up, just try it. If you don't think it's real, like try it. Investigate. Obviously not fucking like ghost hunting and stuff like that. There's a straight line where you should draw a line, be like, okay, I'm not going there. But if the government has looked into it, I mean, wouldn't it be awesome to remote view the crypto market?
Yeah.
You know what
Get
I
some
mean?
unique insider trading at that point.
Yeah, it's almost unfair. And companies like Palantir and also insurance and investment companies use remote viewers. They actually hire remote viewers.
Do they?
Yeah,
Guess they use all tools that they're at their disposal.
yeah. It's like a perfect espionage tool, right?
Mm.
The Soviet Union had a program, China has a program. But yeah, should we, moving on from the woo
Wait,
woo, should we get into our history topic for today, guys?
let's do that. I'm gonna go grab a Coca-Cola. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. In this story, you will not have to keep an open mind. This will be straight facts, no bullshit. It's going to be a doozy of an episode for this historical segment. Sean, are you excited?
Super.
You don't sound very excited to me.
Talking about sunken boats.
Sinking boats, sunken boats, boats.
Sunken boats.
Don't touch my
Train on the
boat!
water, boat on the track.
Yes, don't touch our boats.
No. Took a train across the Atlantic.
Just just while Martin's like getting whatever he needs. I just wanted to say on the podcast, I told this to Sean last night, but I couldn't believe that fucking Trump was like, "Oh yeah, we've deployed CIA assets in Venezuela to depose Maduro and shit." Like you just admitted that you're doing covert action. Like it's so funny to me because now all of the CIA assets overseas, like literally anywhere, are just shitting their pants right now because of that. One sentence. Yep, next question.
And then he said, "I don't want to fuck around with the United States."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he dropped the F bomb on live television last night. Or
He's a
yesterday.
Canadian, that's for sure.
Oh god. Like I said, he should just start walking around on that stage with a mic. Be so much funnier.
Get Donald
Yeah.
Trump on Kill Tony.
Yeah, let's do it.
Not the Shane Gillis edition, though.
It would be so
Dropped it.
funny.
No, he was really good.
It would be
Trump
so
versus Trump.
Yes, yes,
Oh my
yes.
god.
Have Shane on the panel with Trump and just don't say anything. Bring Shane out like halfway through.
Or
Oh,
have
God.
Shane start and do his Trump impression and not tell Shane Trump is coming out. Then
Oh,
halfway
no.
through, Trump walks out and Shane just starts shitting bricks.
That would be good, yeah. Just trap Shane into
Imagine that.
fucking hour of Trump.
Just
Who's
before
this
we talk
guy?
about
You're
Titanic-
gay. He just points at Trump.
Just before we talk about Titanic, I'm so hyped for that White House UFC event. That shit's gonna be so sick, bro.
It's gonna be a White House UFC event. I'm out of the loop on this.
Yeah, Dana White is like good pals with Trump, and they want to hold a UFC event on the south lawn of the White House.
Oh my god.
That would be so sick,
That
dude.
is
Like,
sick.
imagine
That's
being the
gonna be sick.
fighters. You're just like, and then just right behind, pardon me, right behind you is the White House. Like that shit is so sick, bro.
Have you seen the
That's
3D
like,
renditions yet?
Yes.
Can you search
It's
them up? I
so
want to show the
sick.
people.
Okay.
And Martin, because it's so funny to me.
It's crazy. Like in front of the White House. This reminds me of like the Coliseum with like the Spartans just everyone watching. Right? It's like we're going back to the Roman ages.
They're gonna rename the whatever road DC capital is on. They're gonna rename it to Appian Way, which, by the way, was
Man.
the very first road in Rome.
Oh yeah. I
See?
was gonna ask.
80-year-old historian.
Anyway,
Check it out.
there you go.
That's
That should
actually
be,
not my handle. Don't check it out.
I can't find a picture of the like
I
the
gotta go for
concept art.
No.
Yeah, if you find it, Martin, send it to the Discord, please.
Okay.
It's so
Here, I'll just
funny.
like the.
It's like the whole White House lawn is like just created into an octagon dome.
Yeah,
You
I'll
got
just
to
send
admit,
this.
like with all Trump's flaws, like he is a showman. Like he knows how to put on a show. Who other president would think of like putting on a show on the White House
Yeah, dude.
lawn? Like
Fucking
there's
right.
just Trump. Now there is, I can't remember who it was, but it was way back, I think before the Civil War, I can't remember, but basically they invited all of the constituents into the White House for, a party, and they stayed there for almost like 3 days to a week, and they trashed the place. They were like shitting everywhere, pissing everywhere. It was not great. They raided the pantry. They like basically almost destroyed the White House in 3 days. And they were like, how the fuck? Another rule of the White House is you can't kick out anybody out of the White House. It's against the rule of the White House, I suppose. So their idea was to basically put a shit ton of beer kegs out on the front lawn and then lock the door behind them. So they were like, guys, let's go and party underneath the stars. All the beer barrels are outside. Let's go. Everyone goes outside and then they just shut the doors and lock it. And adios.
That's what we used to do at the front house too, when we were trying to close up a party. Just take everyone to the backyard and be like, "All right, your house is done. We gotta spend the rest of the night cleaning up now."
Yeah. Well, guys, I should
Martin sent it,
probably.
James.
Oh, he sent it? Okay. After
Yeah,
that, we
got
gotta
two
jump
photos.
into the topic because we are almost at 30.
Dude, I need to go to that.
Yo, like, what is this?
Again, that's just a concept. That's just a concept. It's not the
Yeah,
official.
I know, but look at this fucking look at this shit. What is that? This is gonna cost so much money.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, it'd be
Oh
sick
my
as hell,
god.
but imagine the blowback from if it was that big.
It better make a lot of money,
money.
that's all I gotta say.
There's no way that's paid for by taxpayers.
Better not.
Yeah. Maybe at least a little bit at first, but hopefully virtual tickets. I wonder if it'll be streamed on some kind of platform or if,
100%.
Well, it's UFC.
Maybe live stream. Yeah. Oh, UFC. That's crazy.
And probably pay for pay-per-view.
What an idea. You think Trump will be like in the front row or like sitting back?
He'll be
on the stage.
No, he won't be on the stage. Here, I'll go back to the picture. On the first one, he'll be on the roof of the White House, on like by the pillars.
Just imagine, yeah.
He'll just be there with JD Vance, like.
Yeah. It's thumbs up, thumbs down.
So Donald, what were your thoughts on the fight? Well, the one guy was complete and utter shit.
The one guy hit really hard. I don't know if I would want to be in the ring with him, but I might have a chance. You never know.
Lots of punching, lots of kicking, lots of blood.
And lots of ad revenue. Wonderful ad revenue. These people are so...
It's terrific. I don't think I could have done a little bit better, but it was terrific all around.
Thank you, Martin.
Now the Titanic.
Now to the Titanic. All right, so yeah, we're gonna talk about the Titanic today. Do you guys know what is your like basic knowledge on the Titanic? That it sank and hit a iceberg? Is that about it?
Iceberg sank.
There's some interesting story about the sister ship that never sailed, or it did sail, and it was also in danger of sinking.
Yeah,
It's been a long time.
We'll get into all of that.
I know, like, it was owned by a big bank, and there's a lot of high, powerful people on the boat, and, like, last minute, a bunch of people sold their tickets and didn't go on the boat.
The Titanic...
How many people?
The Titanic's fate A Titanic voyage unfolds. The RMS Titanic was born in Belfast in 1909 as a marvel of engineering. Built by Harland and Wolff for the White Star Line, she and her sister, the Olympic, were the largest ships afloat at the time. Titanic was 882 feet by 9 inches long, nearly 1.5 times the tonnage of earlier Cunard liners Lusitania and the Mauretania. Nearly 3,550 people could be carried in speed and comfort aboard her unprecedented scale. Her triple expansion engine stood 40 feet high and consumed 600 tons of coal a day. Construction took only 2 years, 1909 to 1911. Can you believe that? Only 2 years to create the largest shipping liner ever to be created. We can't even put up
Yeah.
like an apartment building in 2 years. And this was in 1911. Isn't that
Yeah,
nuts?
just built to sink.
Built to sit, not spec.
Yeah. Or I just got super unlucky.
Not OSHA approved.
Right. Belfast, Harland, and Wolff shipyards. 8 workers even died in the building process. When launched in 1911, she was hailed as a floating palace, and newspapers touted the White Star liner as practically unsinkable by modern standards. It was a ship of luxurious appointments with magnificent first-class suites, their fares reaching $4,350 for one way, over $140,000 today. Think about inflation, right? Titanic's builders and owners did not literally call her invincible, rather the vessel's scale and design inspired public faith. While White Star's own promoter, J. Bruce Ismay, later explained at inquiry that the Titanic was built to improve on her sister, and crucially, her engineers agreed that only 5 compartments were flooding instead of 4 she was designed for, would doom her. Thomas Andrews, Titanic designer, warned immediately after collision that 5 compartments breached, she'd sink within the 1 to 2 hours. Up until 14th of April 1912, Titanic steamed with confidence into a calm Atlantic, carrying her complement of crew and passengers across 3 class sections, from wealthy tycoons to humble emigrant families. In all, she carried 1,178 crew and passengers on that doomed voyage, 892 crew and 1,320 passengers. Roughly half of her total capacity, because it was low season and a coal strike had delayed shipping. The maiden voyage. Titanic's maiden voyage began shortly after noon on 10th April 1912, departing Southampton for Cherbourg, Queenstown, and New York. Decked in flags and with whistles blowing, she crept out of port and flanked by tugs, this time narrowly avoiding a collision with the anchored SS New York. The slipstream raised New York out of water, snapping her moorings. Captain Smith ordered full astern and missed by just 4 feet. Wow. By the next day, she docked. The Titanic almost hit the USS New York, a slipstream, a military slipstream, by 4 inches. Or 4 feet, sorry.
Jeez. Imagine that. Like the ship
Sinking.
sinking right off the coast. Sure would have been gone. At least they would have survived if that happened. But man, so two near misses with
They would have,
Titanic.
yeah, and they would have been fine if they had, the driver of the USS Concordia. But we'll move on. Where was I? By the next day, she docked at Cherbourg to pick up mail and 40 passengers, then on 11th of April, set course west from Queenstown to New York with full steam ahead. Throughout this time, Titanic's notable passengers, a cross-section of society, mingled on board. Among them were society figures like John Jacob Astor IV, the richest man on board, journeying with his young pregnant wife Madeline, and Benjamin Guggenheim, traveling with his valet and mistress. Aboard as well were prominent couples like Isidore and Ida Strauss, owners of Macy's department store, and Sir Cosmo and Lady Duff Gordon, along with unsinkable Margaret Molly Brown of Denver, Colorado. The ship also carries scores of steerage emigrants from Europe, Irish, Italian, Russian, Syrian, and Armenian families eager for a new life in America. Their backgrounds could not have been more varied, millionaires to poor immigrants, but all shared the excitement of Titanic's fresh sea trials. Titanic, as she left Southampton, the Grand Liner begins her maiden voyage. So here begins the story of the collision and the sinking, the last hours, April 14th to the 15th. Just after 11:40 p.m. on April 14th, a lookout's warning bell rang thrice. An iceberg loomed dead ahead. First Officer Murdoch ordered the ship hard a starboard, turn left, in quotations. A full astern of engines and the watertight doors were being closed. It was too late for a broadside hit. Only a glancing blow was possible. Titanic's hull scraped along the berg's starboard flank, buckling steel plates from the bow back to frame. Within minutes, the mailroom flooded, and Captain Smith was informed 5 compartments were taking water. Designer Thomas Andrews estimated the damage. Titanic could stay afloat with 4 flooded, but with 5, she had almost an hour or 2. The realization had set in, and it was grim. Captain Smith immediately ordered women and children first to go towards the lifeboats. On deck, there was chaos and courage. Wireless operator Jack Phillips sent distress calls and the new SOS to nearby ships while Second Officer Lawler began loading lifeboats. By 12:20 a.m., the Cunard liner Carpathia, about 58 miles away, picked up the message. "Come at once. We have struck a berg. It's a CQD, old man," and turned toward Titanic. But no help would arrive in time to save Titanic herself. She was stern down by 2 a.m. Captain Smith, tears in his eyes, reported to have quietly released the crew from duty, saying, "It's every man for himself." Around this time, looking at his doomed ship, Benjamin Guggenheim, the millionaire in Lifeboat 9, famously donned his evening wear. He told his valet and mistress, "We've dressed up for our best and are prepared to go down like gentlemen." No bodies of Guggenheim or his valet were ever recovered. On the starboard bridge, last seen was Captain Smith himself as the final bow lights died out. At 12:17, Philip's voice trembled as he sent the last signal and then vanished into the horror. 2 minutes later, 2:19 a.m., a huge wave swept around and the grand ship snapped in two, sinking stern first. 2:20 a.m., Titanic had plunged beneath the Atlantic dark surface. All that remained were survivors in lifeboats and the sound of frantic voices and screams. Most aboard those 20 lifeboats were either women and children, but also men also escaped. Some poor immigrants from steerage fought to join, and several male passengers sneaked on board. Over the next hours, the ship's band, still on deck, played hymns to calm frightened passengers. Counts differ on their last song. Some survivors recall "Near My God to Thee," others an Irish ballad, "Autumn." Yet none of the musicians survived to tell the tale. Moving on to passenger stories. The Titanic disaster is etched in history by the tales of those aboard. Among first-class passengers, some names became legendary. Isidore and Ida Strauss, aged 67 and 63. The Macy department store owners had a first-class suite. They were offered spots on a lifeboat, but Isidore replied that women and children should go first. Ida looked lovingly at her husband and simply said, "Where you go, I go." The couples chose to stay together on the sinking ship, and their bodies were never recovered. That's wild. Benjamin Guggenheim and Victor Giglio. Guggenheim, the million financier, insisted, and his valet change into formal evening clothes. He told the crewmen, "We were dressed in our best." We already heard that. Margaret Molly Brown, a wealthy American socialite traveling under the name Mrs. Brown, known for her luck. She helped load Lifeboat 6, insisting a crewman look for survivors, and famously earned the nickname of the unsinkable Molly Brown after rescuing. She raised funds for survivors and even presented Captain Rostron with a souvenir loving cup at a later celebration. Each story reminds us of the human drama, the wealth and rank other often influenced by who got seats in the lifeboats, but not always. There were officers, a band leader who went down with the ship. Carpathia's Captain Restron noted that by dawn he'd ferried all survivors aboard 14 lifeboats and returned for the stragglers. He came alongside the first lifeboat around 4:10 a.m. and continued rescue until 8:30 a.m. So that's that's a long rescue. Myths and misconceptions. Over the decade, a number of myths grew up around the Titanic. One persistent legend is that someone, often Astor or an official, said God himself could not sink this ship. In reality, neither Titanic's builders nor owners made such a claim. The ship design was merely as unsinkable as possible for a vessel of its size. Even Captain Smith had reportedly told friends he could not imagine any condition to sink her, words often repeated after the fact without original sourcing. Inquiries later made clear no single person declared divine invincibility for the Titanic. Another common question, didn't Titanic's company hold a lifeboat drill? In fact, Smith had canceled a lifeboat drill on April 14th, but approved lowering them immediately after collision. Many lifeboats launched only partly because crew feared if fully loaded, they might break when lowering the ropes, and caution that costs hundreds of empty seats. We can move on from that. Another misunderstanding is about the nearby steamship SS Californian. It had stopped for ice around 11:15 p.m. 10 miles away. Its radio operator had shut down after warning Titanic to shut up, I am busy. California's this is a misconception. This is not true.
Okay, good.
Californian's crew saw Titanic's rockets at 12:45 but did not interpret them as a distress signal. The lamps were dark and they misidentified the flares as celebration lights. Only later, after hearing the news, did the Californian come back on radio and learn of the tragedy. But there was no villainous cover-up, just tragic miscommunication in the night. Aftermath, rescue, inquiry, and legacy. In the hours after the Titanic sank, the sea was strewn with debris and the cries of survivors. Captain Rostron of the Carpathia organized warm care aboard his rescue ship. He oversaw boiler officers raising steam so they could continue to safety ports, and enlisted an Episcopalian chaplain to hold thanks and burial services. Survivors wrapped themselves in blankets and were fed hot soup as Carpathia steamed to New York. By midday of April 15th, she docked in New York Harbor to the relief of anxious families awaiting for news. Thousands of wireless messages from Titanic's fleet had been pouring in since then. The sinking shocked the world. Both U.S. Congress and British Parliament held formal inquiries within the weeks. The U.S. Senate's Titanic disaster hearings, April-May 1912, collected thousands of pages of testimony. J. Bruce Ismay was questioned for hours. He insisted the disaster was an inevitable accident, of a glancing iceberg hit, and famously testified, if this ship had hit the iceberg stern on, in all human probability, she would have been here today. The investigations highlighted failings, inadequate lifeboats, ignored ice warnings, lookouts without binoculars, and strict class division in escape. Their recommendations were swift. New maritime safety laws were passed in 1914 and remain the basis of modern regulations. Ships were now required to carry enough lifeboats for every soul on board, or even more, and to conduct regular lifeboat drills. The International Ice Patrol was established under the U.S. Coast Guard with 13 nations cooperating to watch for dangerous icebergs. Radio rules changed too. Ships at sea had to maintain round-the-clock radio watch. The radio officer on Californian had turned off his at night. The world's first version of what would become the SOLAS, Safety of Life at Sea Treaty, was drafted in 1914 as a direct outgrowth of Titanic's sinking. In popular memory, the Titanic sank with 1,500 people aboard and only about 700 of them survived. It remains one of the history's deadliest peacetime maritime disasters. The tragedy lingers partly because of stories of the rich who did not survive, of the band playing on, and the stoic courage of ordinary people. Many books, films, and songs have kept the Titanic story alive. Today, nearly all nations regulating shipping still adhere to the rules born of April 1912's disaster. The wreck itself was finally located in 1985 at a depth of 12,500 feet, far off course of what was then considered the safe channel. Maritime historians agree the Titanic disaster united the world in grief and led to safer sea practices for all. All the sources are from contemporary accounts, as well as Wikipedia, Education at National Geographic Resource, Britannica, as well as Wikimedia Commons and National Archives. There we are, boys. What do you think?
Just
It's a lot.
Yeah.
came out of it, but man, it's insane that but before it sank, we didn't have those the SOLAS rules, the radio rules, to keep the radio on at all times.
And the fact that the radio operator on the Californian had his ham radio off while they were sinking is pretty crazy. They were 82 miles away. They could have been there in 2 hours, and they didn't get the call because either bro turned it off while he was trying to sleep or something, or he just forgot. I'll be right back. I just have to take a quick leak. Sorry, boys. 2 seconds. Continue to speak.
I also have to take a leak, so why don't we pause this for now and then we'll maybe cut this out later, or you can talk to the viewers, Sean. Do a little monologue for yourself.
I kind of have to take a leak too, but
it's a break. It's an intermission.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Wonder how much of that movie is like not real.
I think it's most of it is like made up, right? Just written. But I think like a lot of the Titanic itself would look pretty similar. Like I know they got the stairwells right and the elevators right, because you can see like the blueprint and everything. Like they have the blueprints of the Titanic. And there's also actually now there's an Unreal Engine 5 like not virtual like VR, but you can kind of download it and walk through it on your PC, like a whole tour of it. And when I saw that, like the staircase and the elevators, it was the exact same ones as the movie, so they got that right. And also the dining hall.
So, like, they accurately depict the sinking of the ship, including the iceberg and chaos, and then the portrayal of the ship breaking in half is also, like, obviously true. The only thing that wasn't true, like, the only fictional stuff about the movie were mainly the characters.
Yeah.
Like, Jack Dawson and Rose DeWitt weren't real people. And even those supporting characters, only some of them were based off of real people, like Thomas Andrews, as you said, like he was the ship designer.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that was true, and like the music was true, the class discrimination was true. It was mainly just like the main characters.
Can you imagine spending $140,000 for a one-way ticket on a ship just across the Atlantic?
Well, in today's economy,
CEOs.
in today's economy, like $350 would sound somewhat normal for a trip ride, like a boat ride of that caliber. But back in the day, the fact that $350 is the equivalent to 140,000 today, like
It
when
wasn't
only
300. It was 4,350 for a one-way ticket.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, never mind.
yeah.
So I must have misheard that. So, but yeah, anyways, like 4,300 then in 1919. Today in 2025, that would be
$140.
$140,000.
Yeah.
Like that's such an insane inflation. Like
It's
Yeah.
almost a century ago. I mean, actually, it's over a century ago. But I mean,
still, 100 years isn't that long.
I know, and that's
It's
like a
just
house.
one lifetime, pretty much.
That'd be the equivalent of buying a ticket for a house for one trip on like the most
Yeah.
luxurious ship that you can think of. But that's like taking a cruise liner.
Mhm.
It's wild.
How much
And
are how
and
much are
bro
cruise liner
and bro in the
trips now?
crow's nest
They're
didn't
like
even have
5,000, right?
binoculars.
Yeah, that lookout without binoculars is kind of pointless.
Mhm. What was I gonna say? You hear that like the one person that spent time in jail for this was Robert Hitchens, where did I find that tab? Robert Hitchens, the Hellmaster, who like steered to the side instead of hitting it straight on. He spent 4 years in prison for that, for attempted murder. But
Hmm.
other than that, I also wanted to say, like, speaking of um, so it looks like the footage of the wreck. It was real with the submersibles in the movie. It was the actual real wreck. And then you guys hear about how when the Notre Dame Cathedral burned down a couple years back, Ubisoft, like Assassin's Creed, had their mapping of the cathedral so well done in Assassin's Creed that they used the Assassin's Creed blueprints and what we call it, like the 3D models to help rebuild the cathedral. You guys heard about this?
No, that's
No,
crazy.
that's really
I did
cool.
not know that.
It's amazing, yeah. It's because like they did this like 3 years before the cathedral burned down. They released Assassin's Creed. Was it 3 or whatever? Not the newest one. And then it burned down just 3 years later. And they're like, hey, we've got this like perfect reconstruction that we made because we had to have Ezio, climbing the walls, climbing every steeple. So like everything was factual in the game. And when it burned down, they were like, well, we'll donate everything we have, all the scans we have 3D scans, and they donated £500,000 as well, euros, to help
Wow,
rebuild it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
that's
Good
crazy.
for Ubisoft, and it's super lucky.
Yeah,
That
real
is
Ubisoft
lucky.
W.
Yeah, but same thing. The Titanic. About half of the exterior shots were real footage from the expeditions between in the 90s.
So I was gonna say, do you know who actually got those shots? Uh,
It was
No,
the dude that you were talking about earlier.
no, it was
Oh,
James Cameron himself. So the director of
really?
Titanic, yeah, he actually went into a submersible. I don't know if he solo dived, but there's footage of him literally going in the water and then him filming the exterior of the Titanic underwater and checking it out for knowledge because he really wanted to go see the Titanic before, and he was like,
Mhm.
making this movie is a perfect chance for me to go down, I suppose. So he dove to the Titanic. And that was like
That's
20
insane.
years before the Titan submersible, by the way. Yeah. There was a lot of negligence on both the Titanic and the Titan submersible. There's been, countless dives down there for the past 20, 30 years. And the Titan was the only one that really imploded like that. That's why it was, yeah. And the guy I was listening to, Victor, he was like, I knew one of the guys who was down there. And I told him, like, if you value your life, you will not get foot in that submersible. You will not go down. And he's like, nah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But they had multiple different warnings about that company. In fact, they didn't pass like safety inspections like 20 times before for that specific
Well,
submersible, and they had kept diving with it.
it was controlled by an Xbox remote, so that says it for itself, right?
It was
For a lot of things,
its
it's
hull
hard
was
to
also
know.
made out of some kind of super weak nanoparticle or something, or aluminum or titanium. I can't remember. It was just a super weak alloy, and they made it cheap on purpose. It was only supposed to go down to something like 3,000 feet, and the Titanic is like 4,500 feet, which is also not considered a very deep dive. Like in a submersible, I think it's something like 5,000 feet is considered like a dangerous, you know, submersible dive. So they didn't even make it to 4,000.
Mhm.
Just shows you how crap that Titan submersible was.
Yeah. So, did they ever see the wreckage? Because the
No,
Titanic sunk deeper than that, right? About
Oh,
double that.
they were a
a lot of
thousand.
it
They were
washed up.
12,000 feet out of 4,000. So they made it like a third of the way down there.
yep, and then they imploded.
Wow.
They didn't even get to see
Didn't
the
didn't
Titanic.
didn't a lot of the debris wash up on the local coasts?
No, the
I
Canadian
thought I
and
saw
U.S.
some
Coast
of the
Guard.
debris.
Yeah, on the bottom, it's near the Titanic. Obviously, there's
Okay.
like what do they call it? Water streams
Jet
underwater.
stream.
Yeah, water streams underwater. You know what I mean. Basically, there's one very close to the Titanic. So if it got close to that, then yeah, some of the debris would definitely follow the train, but most of it just imploded. Like basically, it was just the tail. The hull completely imploded. Um, yeah, it was basically just the tail left over.
Damn.
RIP. That's why we know less about the bottom of the ocean than the surface of the moon.
That is correct.
That pressure difference, much more difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who knows what kind of like, unidentified things we'll find down there if we could see more clearer into the bottom of the ocean. So many things. Because like the Earth is
Mhm.
like, you know, we can explore as much as we want into the sky, into the atmosphere, because we have telescopes that can just see through all light pollution, it's just clear. But the water, you cannot just peer down there. We can't. We have no idea what's down there.
so this Victor guy that I was talking about, one of his stories about solo diving at the Titanic was like he was coming up to where his coordinates are showing him where it should be, and it's pitch black, and he keeps inching forward, and then a radar bloop goes out in front of him. So he's got his radar screen and then like a porthole that he can look through, but it's pitch black. He can't see shit. It's getting closer and closer, and it's massive. And he keeps seeing black. He can't see anything. Now the problem is if you touch anything underneath in a submersible, it's extremely dangerous just because of the pressurization on the inside and the outside, how much pressure is pushing on the thing and how much pressure is actually pushing out and keeping it, pressurized inside. So a lot of the time, if you get dinked, it's really really dangerous, and also you have to worry about basically cords and cables from the actual Titanic itself, like tangling up in the submersible. So anyway, that as a pretext, basically he got so close to the Titanic, he was basically like within 5 feet of it and didn't realize it was the Titanic until he started slowly going up and realized it was one of the portholes that he could see. And that was the bottom of the Titanic. It took him something, I can't remember how many minutes he said, but almost like 10 to 15 minutes to reach the bow, which is crazy. It just he was like
Mhm.
I couldn't believe how big it was. He was like, I thought I was like halfway up. Dude, I was at the bottom and it took me like 2 minutes to see the first porthole. And there was like 7 rows of portholes above that, and then like the deck, and then like another deck, and you know what I mean? Just a marvel of engineering, especially back then, early 1900s. It's crazy to think about. And it was all
Yeah.
on coal, too. Can you imagine how much coal it would take to run something with 5 engines that big?
Mm.
Let alone heating and
Wow.
water and everything else. Like it was a floating palace. We've got nothing similar to it aside from mega yachts and that kind of thing. But like back then it would have been absolutely mind-boggling stepping foot on that. Or even just looking at it.
Yeah. It's about half the height of the CN Tower for us in Ontario. So that's yeah, pretty high.
It is
Jeez.
unbelievably. And that's just the height of the Titanic, not even like the full size width-wise, right?
That's the length of the
Okay,
Titanic,
okay,
like
okay.
half the height. But like imagine the CN Tower like, on its side,
Sideways.
it's pretty tall, and it
That's
weighed,
insane.
but like with all that coal, 52,000 tons in total.
Is that how much? That's how much it weighed in total with it fully loaded with coal?
Yeah,
How much coal did it
fully
take
loaded.
to fuel it? Like, how much coal did they have to take?
It had to take 6,611 tons of coal, so a big chunk of it. It's
That's
like
almost
an eighth.
7,000 tons of coal.
Yeah,
Holy
and
moly.
you could add an additional 1,100 in a reserve coal bunker. So the
So
by the time the
8,000?
Titanic left, yeah, yeah, like kind of 7,800 tons of coal, 7,700 in total was the capacity. But by the time it actually left for the trip, it had 5,900 tons of coal.
That is
That's kind of insane.
mind boggling.
But
Well, guys, should we move over to the
it's
Patreon?
yeah, we
I've
can
only
do
got
that.
10 more minutes.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching. This has been Mind Harbor episode 11. We are going to go and move over to our Patreon. We do a 30-minute free segment on Patreon, so come and check it out. Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day. Peace. Peace out.
Boys, hope you guys enjoy the episode.